Hi, good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dwayne Brown. California's final state audit of the year reads like a naughty list with reports of mismanagement, theft, and outright lies by some state employees. The auditor's findings include a manager embezzling $3,500 by recycling state surplus property and keeping the proceeds. The state's military department losing more than $33,000 of inventory because it didn't keep accurate records, and a worker getting more than 20 grand in mileage reimbursements, essentially because of a paperwork error.
Tight, the protocols, or sometimes the supervisors are not really taking a look at what's actually going on, so they have to be more diligent about what their responsibilities are and make sure that controls are tightened so that we can prevent some of this from happening in the future.
Now, some of the incidents date back to 2007. The audit has some recommendations as well, including prosecution in the recycling embezzlement case, a barcode system for the military department to track inventory, and better training to avoid problems with travel reimbursement. The controversial movie The Interview will play in San Diego tomorrow. After all, it was almost shut down because of threats from hackers offended by its story of an assassination attempt against North Korea's leader. Now, Sony Pictures has already released the movie online. KPBS reporter Matt Bowler tells us where you can go to see it on the big screen.
The phones ring non-stop.
Media Arts Center, this is Aiden. How may I help you? How many tickets do you need? Just the two?
It's not every day. A 46-seat, non-profit movie theater is the only cinema premiering a mainstream, big studio buddy comedy.
Yeah, this is definitely blowing everything out of the water.
But Digital Gym in North Park is the only theater in San Diego showing the now world-famous movie, The Interview. Ethan Vontilio is the theater's executive director, and he says independent venues stepped up, volunteering to show the movie.
I think a lot of this idea, this fear that's come into play, again, I think it just seems to feed on itself. And I think that's why these independent movie theaters across the country decide to say, hey, let's stop it here.
The FBI stopped by this morning.
Definitely, cybersecurity is an interest. We've been approached by FBI to talk about, our concerns of the websites, or their concerns of our website, our concerns of our internal IT.
Juan Pena Lopez wasn't going to go see the movie until it was pulled from theaters.
When they canceled it, I really wanted to see it, but I didn't know if I was going to be able to because nobody was going to show it. And then when I heard about the Digital Gym, I said, wait a minute, that sounds familiar. They said North Park. I said, I know exactly what I said.
Vantilio admits this goofy buddy comedy isn't his kind of movie, but he says we should all support everyone's right to make and show all kinds of films.
Even someone like Seth Rogen producing and making his own film, we should celebrate that.
And celebrate is just what the Digital Gym is going to do. Matt Bowler, KPBS News.
Well, speaking of celebrating, AAA says more folks are hitting the road this Christmas Eve as gas prices fall to their lowest level in nearly 6 years here in San Diego. It's one of the busiest travel days of the year, with folks taking trains and planes. But automobiles seem to be the most popular way of getting to your holiday destination this year.
A couple dollars a gallon makes a huge difference.
AAA says gas prices in Southern California have fallen more than 13 cents from a week ago. We haven't seen gas this low since May 2009. Cars lined around the corner from this Costco station in southeastern San Diego near Market Street. GasBuddy.com says it's the cheapest in the county right now. $2.35 a gallon for regular, $2.55 for premium.
I like that. I could get premium for less, I need premium gas. So.
Yvonne Jackson says lower prices also help with the little things like getting more gifts for the family this Christmas.
Whatever it is that you need to do, you have a little more money to do it, so I can appreciate that.
I'm retired Navy, but sometimes we'll go to the base, but it's cheaper here.
Rolando Regino just drove his SUV back from the Central Valley with his family.
So we're just here. We're going to spend the holidays. We're getting ready to take my brother, who's coming visiting from Texas, to the Midway Museum.
Like a gift that keeps on giving, the average cost at the pump is now 91 cents below what it was a year ago, putting smiles on all the faces of those filling up.
We're out. See y'all later.
AAA predicts 89 million people will drive at least 60 miles from home this holiday season. A San Diego native is one of the talents behind an upcoming cartoon series tackling immigration issues. He talked with Peggy Pico about the show.
The animated comedy series Bordertown, produced by Family Guy's Seth MacFarlane, will debut on Fox TV this spring. My guest, Chicano cartoonist Lalo Alcaraz, is a writer for the show and illustrator of the new book, A Most Imperfect Union. Lalo, welcome to Evening Edition.
Oh, thank you.
Now, your comic strip, La Cucaracha, has been both praised and criticized for its political perspective. For those people who aren't familiar with it, tell us what it's about.
Mostly criticized.
Mostly criticized.
In the pages of the local paper.
I see.
Well, it's really, when I walked in, you said, you look like one of your characters. I said, well, you know, I didn't answer that, but the strip is basically myself when I was 25, the character Eddie, and his roommate is a anthropomorphic cockroach, a giant cockroach, kind of like a street poet, Chicano activist. And they're both me, you know, and sometimes I like to, you know, I overdo it on the politics and the activism, and sometimes I like to kick back and watch the game and have a beer.
Well, you grew up in San Diego and Tijuana, but your cartoons seem less about your childhood and, for example, this one, more about issues like a current immigration debate or other social or racial concerns. What's the main intent behind your cartoons?
Well, I'm primarily an editorial cartoonist. That's how I started. I was the cartoonist at San Diego State when I was at San Diego State studying art. And I learned, people always ask, do you do it just to piss people off?
Exactly.
And
are you trying to provoke, or is there some other reason?
Not at all. I mean, I just, I tell people, A, I do this to amuse myself, and B, I do it to try to tell the truth about things, you know? And so whatever issue is in the news cycle, I'll write about it. And a lot of it happens to be immigration. A lot of it happens to be police brutality right now, and so that's what I write about.
What types of issues, or will these be the same types of issues that you're going to tackle on Bordertown, the new TV animation series?
Yeah, Bordertown, I'm a consulting producer and a writer on the show, and I occasionally get to help, not with the drawing, but with the design. You know, like they'll say, come and look at the interior of the Mexican family's home, and what do you
Is it right, says the white person.
I'm like, well, is there an Aztec calendar? Are there giant glass grapes? Is there a plastic-covered couch? You know, let's get serious. But the show, even though it's set in a border town, the border town of Mexifornia,
a make-believe border town.
Yes, I think it exists out there. It's kind of a little east of us here. It's really a metaphor for the changing demographics of the U.S. and the rise of Latinos as being the biggest minority.
So the characters, a couple of neighbors, who else? Border agents?
Yeah, there's a border agent, Bud Buchwald. He is the worst Border Patrol agent on the planet, and he's the weakest link in our Homeland Security. And then he lives next to Ernesto Gonzalez, who's been an immigrant here to the U.S. For 30 years. And Bud doesn't understand why Ernesto's doing better than he is. It's like, well, because Ernesto has 3 jobs. He's working a lot.
I know you can't give a whole lot away, but Bordertown's producer, Seth MacFarlane, has been criticized quite widely for his ethnic stereotypes, for, I would say, maybe being racially sort of insensitive in his other shows. How do you deal with that? You are now an integral part of the show, and are you going to be perpetrating these sort of stereotypes?
Well, I'd just like to say I'm very happy that he's gotten the rap for being racially insensitive, because that's how I got my job. You know, when the reaction to Bordertown came out, it was one sentence. Seth MacFarlane is doing a show about Latinos. And the Latinos online went crazy, and then they announced, but Lalo Alcaraz is working on it, so there's hope, you know. And so I was brought in, and Gustavo Arellano, who writes the Ask a Mexican column, he's the editor of the OC Weekly. We're both there to kind of balance that out and to give really, I mean, we're both satirical writers, so we're not PC at all. And we're there to make things, you know, try to give good suggestions on authenticity or, you know, inside kind of Mexican jokes that maybe some people might not be familiar with, or to kind of gauge, you know, how things will play, you know, a certain joke will go. But I'm very excited to be in there, in the belly of the beast at Fox TV, that's for sure.
It makes me wonder, do you think Latinos are making some headway in Hollywood?
They are, although when Chris Rock came out a few weeks ago and said that basically Los Angeles is a Mexican slave state as far as Hollywood is concerned, he hit it right on the nose. Because, yeah, there's still so much nepotism and in Hollywood, and people just hire people that look like themselves or people that happen to be their nephew, and some of these people are not the most excellent candidates.
Okay. Okay. Well, we are looking forward for the show, and yeah, we're going to have to leave it there and watch the show and see what we think about it. Cartoonist Lalo Alcaraz, thank you so much, and happy holidays.
Oh, thank you. Merry Crima.
Merry Crima. Feliz Navidad.
That's Spanish for Merry Christmas.
Well, this is a time of year when many of us reach out to the needy and homeless. There's a group of San Diego police officers who work with the homeless all year long, trying to earn their trust and help them off the streets. Now, earlier this year, KPBS reporter Claire Trageser and video journalist Katie Shulov followed one of those officers for a day starting before sunrise.
When I go to work and I go in there and I turn on my radio and I walk out the door, it's like I go into this world where nobody else is in. And I don't think people understand that you're in that world, in that different reality.
And is 31 Quebec available to help out?
We don't respond to any homeless deals unless we have complaints. Because since homelessness itself is not a crime, we don't get too involved in it unless there's citizens calling up saying they're drinking, they're smoking pot, they're blocking doorways, they're blocking the sidewalk, all those little disordered things. All right, I'm there right now. All right.
So they'll call us into the area and then we'll start talking to everybody. Patrol will leave and then my team will stay behind talking with the groups or just the individuals or whatever it is. And over the since we've been doing this for 15 years, everybody on the street kind of knows the homeless outreach team van. Even though law enforcement is there, we're not going to arrest them for whatever. That's patrol's job.
You good, man? Yeah. I've talked to you before a whole bunch of times, right?
So they kind of get to know who we are, and we offer all those alternatives. Like we could facilitate into the winter shelter, we can facilitate into St. Vincent's, we can facilitate into rescue mission.
Because I can call and have somebody clean it. All right, whatever you don't want, just leave and we'll get it cleaned up.
I was on a squad when he made sergeant. He came over to our squad and took over the squad. And then
it's been downhill ever since.
And I was a sergeant over at Western Division, which is Ocean Beach and Hillcrest and stuff. And we were arresting a lot of drunks. I mean, a lot. We were, 40 a week. And they were just coming out. We were recycling through jail and the sobering center. And all of a sudden, my partner, John Leaning, he came up and says, hey, let's stop this. Let's try something different. So he goes, why don't we just get them treatment? Try to somehow funnel them through treatment, and we can use, since they're already going to jail. So we tried that. And I got to tell you, it just worked right away. They came out of jail, we went into courts, we talked to them in courts, we got them into treatment, and right away they did okay.
We're going to drive over to St. Vincent's to get you set up there.
Okay. I finally realized after all of these years that I wasn't going to do it on my own. I needed some freedom in my life, and yet I needed some direction. So when this lawyer told me about the SIP program, even though it's 6 months, there's some freedom to it, and there's a learning curve.
Let's do it, man.
Okay, I've got a lunch. I am one happy dude.
They're pretty good guys. You know what? It could be you, it could be me, in a half a second. And to see them recover, and at least this is like their last opportunity, because without this program, without the SIP program, they would be dead. And they're not.
Hug me and kiss me for the rest of my day.
You know, like Elvis, he'll change. We'll just keep talking to him. You know, one of these days he's going to go. He'll figure it out, and then we'll get him into housing, and you won't even recognize him.
They call me Elvis. I'm not looking for a free ride. What I'm looking for is a chance to get my life back into order.
When I go home, I turn it off. I don't carry it with me or any of that. And I mean, sometimes it's upsetting. I mean, you see him there with his like legs and stuff, but it's his gig. He has a right to refuse. And my thing is just keep talking to him, because there are options for you outside of here.
Like what?
I don't know. They're going to talk to you about it today. There's probably housing options for you.
So we've worked with Sergeant Schnell for many, many years. He has this great bond with lots of people that have been on the streets for years and years. He relates to them very well. He's able to work with them in a gentle manner and help get them the care they need.
Well, they have an inside bed where you could still come out here all day and hang out.
He's like a social worker with a gun, you know?
We found Eric. We did get Eric.
Eric Anderson?
Yeah.
He's severely mentally ill.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Teresa. She's my replacement.
He understands that to get some of these people the help that they need, they have to trust you.
Where do you spend the night, though?
And he's so good at building that trust and the rapport with the people that he's trying to help to get them to the day that they're ready to accept help.
I'm glad things are going well, man.
Yeah.
I think the city's doing 100 times better than when I first started this.
Yeah, see ya.
I think there's a real movement to get things going. And we'll see. I'm Rick Schnell. I'm Sergeant for San Diego Police Department. I've been on the department for almost 35 years. I've been with the homeless outreach team for 14. I'm due to retire May 29th, 2014. And it's been fun.
Wow. Tonight, we also look back at our story of a new center for homeless toddlers, giving them a safe place to learn and thrive. KPBS reporter Susan Murphy gives us a look inside.
Do you want to wear the wings? Oh, you're going to do the wings? Okay.
Little Rebecca loves to play dress up at her new preschool.
You're a butterfly princess, huh? Yeah.
She flutters around her classroom wearing pink butterfly wings and a purple princess dress.
Will you give us a book?
Bright, colorful books draw her attention. At 3 feet tall, her new surroundings are huge. There's so much to learn and explore.
Oh, number 10.
The 2.5-year-old and her 10 classmates attend the newly opened San Diego Rescue Mission Children's Center.
Put it in your hand, roll.
Like most preschoolers, they're mastering Play-Doh.
Smush. Put your muscles, use your muscles.
And learning their colors.
He's what color? Purple! Yay, Becca!
But these toddlers share something else in common. They all come from homeless families.
I'm amazed at the resiliency of these young children playing out here in the yard.
Herb Johnson is president and CEO of the Rescue Mission. The nonprofit organization runs a downtown transitional housing program and an emergency overnight shelter for women and children.
Every single night, we're housing someplace around 50 to 60 kids in this building.
But the overnight shelter is only licensed to be open from 7 at night until 7 the next morning. For 12 hours during the day, moms with toddlers and babies were on the streets, their belongings stuffed in strollers. Johnson says that's why they created the Children's Center, to provide the little ones a safe and nurturing environment.
We're so very happy that Tristan's here today.
And have, as close as they can, some sense of normalcy for what other children are going through at that age.
Okay, everybody stand up. Up on our feet. Stand up.
Much of the center's funding comes from donations and grants.
We can put our tools on the Play-Doh tray.
The support from our neighbors has been unbelievable.
Johnson says education is a big part of the program.
Ready?
so that when they go to school, that they're at grade level in first grade, not behind 2 or 3 years.
It also gives moms, like Rebecca's mom, Robin Gorman, an opportunity to break their cycle of homelessness.
How many is that? 2? Yes. And so this is actually opening up just in time for me to do everything that I had wanted to do. Go to school, get my GED, get some job training, maybe even go to college. Wow. You just want kisses?
A year ago, Gorman and Rebecca spent their nights at the emergency shelter and their days on the streets. Now they've secured longer-term housing at the Rescue Mission's Women and Children Center, or WCC.
It was just fate that I ended up going up to the WCC because I was at the end of my rope.
Gorman says she's happy to see Rebecca thriving.
Letter R for Rebecca. That's your name.
This will help her learn many skills that will be useful in school and in life.
Skills that often come harder for homeless kids.
Good dancing. Oh, so much kissing too.
Christina Serafin is director of the Children's Center.
Children that are experiencing homelessness, they just don't get the opportunity to explore their environment, to use materials, to ask questions, to be curious.
Serafin says some children have been traumatized, others have language delays and social and emotional distress.
Good job! Turn around. Okay, you may choose. So we plan to help them get the services they need in order to overcome those challenges.
The center is currently licensed for 11 children. Serafin says the goal is to accommodate 3 times as many in the coming months. The need is high. The number of homeless families in San Diego has skyrocketed this year.
We saw a 7% increase. Our shelters were full.
Dolores Diaz is executive director of the Regional Task Force on the Homeless, which keeps an annual census on the county's homeless population. She says a lack of low-income housing and high rental costs are major factors.
There are a lot of families that come to service providers that need assistance, that are on that brink. And if something doesn't happen, we're going to see that number increase.
Diaz says one solution is a program called Rapid Rehousing.
Research shows that if you help families right when they're, at crisis point, and you assist them with security deposits, short-term rental assistance, something to just kind of kickstart rapidly rehousing them, this works for families.
We're going to make sure we all have our own space to work.
Back at the Rescue Mission Children's Center, little Rebecca is learning to share and make new friends and to take advantage of her new opportunity to soar. Susan Murphy, KPBS News.
Now, every few months, folks in City Heights get together. They call it the Really Free Market. Speak City Heights video journalist Brian Myers brings us the story.
People don't believe that things can really be free. So being, really, really free is just telling people that it really is, and that's so unusual these days. It's a place to bring things that you don't want anymore and pass them on to other people for free, and to come and gather things that you might be able to use. And you don't have to bring anything to come, you can just come. So it's just a great idea to exchange things and not be so consuming all the time out in stores.
Yo dando una vuelta acá, siempre cada domingo que vengo acá al parque, y pues vi que habían cositas ahí que decía free, y pues me acerqué y pues vi unas cosas que sí están muy buenas, y pues en primer lugar les doy gracias a las personas, ustedes, pues que se preocupan por las personas que menos tienen.
Soup underneath the gazebo. We also have a ton of tortillas, both flour and corn, eggs, and bagels.
Thank you for preparing the soup. Oh, it's my pleasure. I hope it's good. 1 in 4 children in San Diego is food insecure, yet we throw away enough food to feed almost every single San Diegan. Everything here is stuff that I grabbed from grocery store dumpsters and is here for people to take home and eat. I'm very passionate about the sharing economy, the gifting economy, creating a community where money doesn't have to be the central point. For me, the really, really free market is a great way for people to get together and give without condition and take without condition as well. And for me, being able to feed people, give food to people, is just a beautiful addition to that.
We may have a wet Christmas to start the day. There's a slight chance of showers overnight through tomorrow morning, low 60s along the coast. Inland valley temperatures also in the 60s. We should clear out by Friday. A wind advisory goes into effect at 9 tonight. It's not expected to be cold enough for snow, though, and it will stay dry in the desert, mid to low 60s for the next few days. You can find tonight's stories online at kpbs.org/Evening Edition. Evening Edition will not be seen tomorrow night. KPBS will bring you a special winter holiday edition of Ken Kramer's About San Diego. Have a great night. Merry Christmas. We'll see you on Friday.